For today's lesson, our focus standard comes from Grade 7 Number System Standard 3, Solve Mathematical Problems Involving the 4 Operations with Rational Numbers. Our topic continues to be from multiplying and dividing integers, order of operations. Our essential question is, how do we solve multi-step problems using all 4 operations with integers? So please take a moment pausing the video if you need to copy down the topic and essential question, include today's date, set your question column and your note column, and then resume the video when you're ready to begin. So today we are talking about order of operations. This is something that we've talked about and done throughout the school year, and now that we're having learned the operations with all 4 operations with integers, it's a good time to increase our level of difficulty in these types of problems. So we're very familiar with using Pemdas as our mnemonic to help us remember what the orders are in their parentheses. Exponents, this can include roots such as square roots, which is the inverse operation of exponents. Multiplication and division in the order that they appear from left to right, and lastly addition and subtraction, also in the order that they appear from left to right. So we are going to apply these orders of operations to 3 problems today. Let's go ahead and take a look at our first problem. Alright, so first thing I always suggest when doing order of operations problems is to really examine and look for any kind of hidden operations. So we're using these brackets, so those are a little bit more square. We use brackets after we've used the curved parentheses, but they're treated just like parentheses. So we have some parentheses here with -1, subtract -5, so some subtraction happening of integers in here. And then we have the straight bars, so that means we're finding the absolute value of 3 plus 2, and there's a hidden operation right there. You write 2 parentheses next to each other, and there's no operation in between them. That means to multiply, so it might be helpful to write that in. So that's actually a multiplication problem. Alright, so I'm going to let you think about this problem and maybe take it step by step, pausing the video to get as far as you can, and then resume the video when you're ready to check in and compare your work. So I want to remind you to use the snow cone method and take it one line at a time. So I'm going to start with this first set of parentheses, -1, subtract -5. So this might be a good time to take a look at, this, again, review, we're subtracting a negative, so we could think about this as that horseshoe method. So it really becomes -1 plus 5, which is going to give us a +4. And then over here in this set of brackets, absolute value is considered a bracket, we have 3 plus 2, which is 5. So now we have 4, remember that hidden operation, times the absolute value of 5. So I would say that the answer to 4 times the absolute value of 5 is going to be 20. So our final answer for this order of operations problem would be 20. Again, we've shown all of our work and we've funneled it down to our answer using the snow cone method, so everything's looking good. Let's take a look at the next problem. Number 2. So we have some fraction bars involved. Fraction bars in and of themselves kind of group items, so there's parentheses around this numerator value. That doesn't necessarily have to have parentheses, but we would have to do this group. And then here underneath in the denominator we have another group, -2 squared, and we're dividing these quantities, and then we're subtracting 5. So again, a really good idea to just really read through the problem before you start trying to do any calculations, and make sure you kind of have a roadmap in your mind of what are you going to do first, second, are there any operations that you need to be, that are kind of hidden that you need to be aware of. So I would say that we have this first set of parentheses here. I'd probably start there, and then move to the denominator, and then lastly simplify this division, and then subtract 5. That's kind of the roadmap I see. Go ahead if you want to, pause the video and work ahead, getting as far as you can, and then resume the video when you're ready to compare your work with mine. Alright, so like I mentioned, first I would do -10 subtract 6, and at the -10 I'm going more negative, so I'm going to get -16, that first group. And then I've rewritten the rest of the problem, -2 squared in the denominator, and then subtract 5. Next I'm going to take care of that exponent. So -2 squared means -2 times -2, and negative times a negative is a positive, so that would give me a positive 4. So the problem now reads -16 divided by 4, subtract 5. So in order of operations, division comes before subtraction, so we'd want to do -16 divided by 4. If you think back to the division rules, we have a negative divided by a positive, so that's not going to be. Well, if you said -4 subtract 5, I would agree. And since we're starting at negative and getting more negative, we're going to land at -9. So I'd say the final answer, after doing our snow cone method and funneling down to our answer here, would be -9. Alright, let's take a look at one more problem. Here's our third problem. So you notice we're using parentheses around some negative numbers and then some brackets. Once again, we have brackets kind of up against each other, so there's a hidden operation problem right there. Might think back to that first example. And inside here it's multiplication and then addition and subtraction. So we want to think about what comes first in this set of parentheses. And then we have really two more. We have a set of parentheses with the absolute value -18 divided by 6, and then expanded to add -5, and then that whole set of parentheses. What is that operation that's going to go between those two? If you remember from the first example, that's going to be multiplication. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video and work through this problem, funneling your answer down in the snow cone method, and then resuming the video to check your work. Alright, so for sake of time today, I'm not going to talk away all through, but when I'm checking your notes, I'm going to look for all your work here. This work needs to be done, and it needs to be funneling down to get to the correct answer. And the correct answer that you should be getting when you work that problem through is -40. So check your answer. You came to -40 and you've shown all your work. It's a great job. You are done with today's lesson. However, if you did some calculations and you did not get to -40, please take another look at this problem. See if you can find your error and see if you can figure out how to get to this calculation of -40. And then we'll discuss this problem more in class. So that's going to conclude our video for today, and I look forward to discussing these problems together.